Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the School District of Springfield Township Board of School Directors regular board meeting, August 18th, 2015. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Reading of the mission statement. Mr. Richardson.
The mission of the School District of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high-achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. King. Here. Announcements. The board, at its discretion, may videotape all or any portion of board meetings subject to the limitations set forth in Policy 006.2, Broadcasting of Meetings. Board meetings will be broadcast on Friday afternoon following the board meeting. I don't believe there are anybody signed up for public comments on agenda. Approval of minutes, June 16th, 2015, regular meeting. Board minutes are. Is there a motion? Second? Any questions or comments? Aye. Approval of Treasurer's Report, Treasurer's Report L. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments? Aye. Reports and information. Number 1, reports of committees. Property Committee, James Taylor.
Good evening. We had our property meeting yesterday at 8:15 a.m. in the administrative conference room. We just had a few things that were on the agenda. One all related mostly to the Erdenheim cafeteria updates. One, there's been a scheduling update. VCI Construction is in the process of putting a new construction manager in at the site for some oversight, so there's been some delay with a little bit of the construction that's going on in Erdenheim because of that. The second item that we discussed was the sidewalk curbing, which was originally supposed to be replaced. There was an issue that came up that the sidewalk and the curb were actually originally poured as one piece instead of two pieces. So we had to go back to the contractor to negotiate a price for actually getting that fixed now. Another item was a discussion of the Verizon lines and conduit. We have to contact Verizon because the current line that runs is going to be right by the garden, the water garden that had to be put in. So that's going to be an issue coming up that's going to be dealt with. There's no estimates from Verizon yet, and that's about 12 weeks out and getting that moved. The third thing we talked about was the request for additional services for Gilbert Architects. One was that we had to bring on some additional construction administration because of the changes that are going on with the VCI management for the oversight of the project. And the second thing is there's going to be a land development motion tonight that's also in relation to the water garden that was a requirement on the township for us to do some work there to be in compliance. The fourth thing is an administration, the HVAC replacement for the bid opening. That'll be on tonight's agenda. And our next meeting is going to be on Friday, September 11th at 8:15 in the morning, and that is tentative at this point. And some of the things that are probably going to be discussed is with the upcoming Pope visit, to discuss any impact that they may have on the district. That's all still being discussed with the various police departments and everything in the area. So we have to find out exactly how that's going to impact the school district and any events that may be going on. And that's about it.
May I ask a question? Do we have a timeline for the cafeteria at all? Like when that might be finished? I'm assuming it's not going to be finished before the start of school. Never was
Mr. Thorne,
intended.
if you want to
Okay.
give us just a brief update on specifics for the timeline. I know we talked about it yesterday, but I don't know exactly.
Sure, good evening. The actual finish completion date is December of this year. So one of the big milestones was to be, basically have the shell of the building up as school starts. So the foundation's in, the bottom masonry part is in. We're waiting for steel construction now and the brickwork to come up. So it's a real critical 2 weeks, and we're keeping our fingers crossed, and that's where we're at.
I think we discussed in the meeting yesterday that the goal is so that whatever's still being done won't impact the everyday goings-on of the school, and that's what we're still aiming for.
Correct, that is correct. The students will be able to enter and egress out of that stairwell door there. They have recess in the upper playground, as you know. That'll all continue as normal.
Okay, so that's the goal.
Yep.
They use that back door for busing and the parking lot and all of that will be...
Yes,
Okay.
they do, yeah. So we'll have the construction fencing around any of the open areas that anywhere potentially students could get to. We'll have that all secured off and everything. But the opening will be open, the buses will be able to get in, Kid View will be able to function as normal.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Just two questions, Jim, if I can. The first one is in regards to the sidewalk. You said that we have to go back to the contractor to get a price. Who made the mistake in how the sidewalk was,
Well-
the concrete was poured?
Yeah, the original sidewalk was done by Stubner, so that's before our administration came in, so that was all part of that process. There was no way for us to know until this new project started that it was actually poured as one piece instead of two separate pieces. So once, one of our other meetings, we had gotten, the contractor on site had agreed to replace just the sidewalk. $13,000 was the estimate, but because when they would get started to do the work, they discovered that it's more than just a sidewalk, that it was poured as that one piece and they had to replace both.
All right. So in terms of the change orders or work that was previously done by Stubner, has anyone reviewed the prior work that was done to make sure that we avoid any additional change orders going forward?
Let me just address that by saying we currently are in litigation with Stubner over a number of issues pertaining to the previous construction, but this particular issue was only necessitated because of the need to re-dig up the sidewalk. It was not related to the previous litigation issues.
Okay, so anything that Stubner has done, though, has, with respect to the new construction, have we made sure and vetted that if things have to be done, that we've already cleared it with the current contractors to make sure that there's no more change orders going forward with any of the
Well,
work?
any change orders that would arise would not necessarily be because of something that Stubner did. It might be because of the way in which the construction was completed previously, but not because it was wrong or because it was done incorrectly. It may simply be that because you're adding on a new addition to the building, there are changes that have to be made. But it's not necessarily because of fault.
Okay,
We have identified the areas of fault which we believe Stubner's company was guilty of, and that's why we are currently in litigation with them.
okay. And then the second question is with respect to the construction administration, because of the changes with BCI, is there going to be any resultant cost to the district because of that now?
Well, right now, what we're doing is, because Gilbert is now providing some additional services, we have gone ahead and told them to bill VCI directly.
Oh, okay,
Because we
great.
did have to bring Gilbert in for some additional oversight on the project. And I'll just say that Greg has been on top of everything to make sure that we don't have any repeats
Yeah.
from the past coming up. And because he's been so diligent, we've taken these extra steps now to make sure that the current construction is being done according to what Gilbert had set up in the architectural specs.
Okay, so VCI is going to absorb that cost of the construction administration, but it won't be the
That's our intention.
school district? Okay.
Okay, administrative report, Dr. Nancy Heck.
Thank you, Mrs. Slipinski. First of all, I just want to extend, as I typically do at this time of year, a note of thanks to all of our administrators and to many of our staff members as well for participating in extensive rounds of interviews over the course of the summer. And the result of that, some of which are on the personnel attachment and others which we will be talking about in just a few moments. But it really is a very thorough and diligent process which we undertake in order to identify the best staff members to be placed in front of the children of our township. And so I just want to commend all of our administrators for willingly contributing their time. There are days when literally between 8 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they are behind closed doors interviewing candidates, trying to identify the appropriate individuals. So I just want to make sure that they understand that it is very much appreciated. It is a very important task that they are doing. And we have some results with us here this evening that I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce to the people who are present tonight, as well as our board members. We have 3 of our new administrators who are here this evening. And I'm going to ask each one of them, if they wouldn't mind, just to give a very brief synopsis of their backgrounds and how they came to us here at Springfield Township. And again, I just want to reiterate, particularly with 2 of those individuals, they both came through very extensive round after round after round of interview in order to be sitting here this evening waiting diligently for board approval. So we're going to start with Ryan Thomas. Ryan was selected as our middle school assistant principal. So Ryan, if you wouldn't mind saying a few words.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to start off by saying thank you. I'm honored, I'm humbled to have been selected for the position of middle school assistant principal as well as athletic director. So for the last 9 years, I've served as part of the Upper Dublin teaching community. Most of my work was in the elementary schools. And to Dr. Hacker's question, we did a lot of work with Upper Dublin and Springfield, kind of cross-content, particularly with the writing-based curriculum. So that was when I first heard a lot of the phenomenal things that were coming out of Springfield, and I knew when the position opened up, that was the place that I wanted to be. And that's only been further solidified the last 3 weeks that I've been here. Just the welcoming hospitality, the people. We just had a meet and greet at the middle school just about an hour ago, and a phenomenal turnout, and just a very warm, welcoming environment. So I thank you for that. I look forward to helping to continue to make Springfield a place to live and raise a family and be part of a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. And next up is Tracy Walter, who's going to be our new high school assistant principal.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It is wonderful to be here again in this room, and I too am so honored and grateful for this opportunity. I've spent the last 7 years as a curriculum supervisor for English and reading at Penridge High School, and I'm hoping that I can bring a lot of those same skills that I learned and strengths that I possess to this new position as assistant principal at the high school. So far, I've only been kind of meeting people the last few days, and I am so very much excited to be a part of this very warm, very open, very welcoming community. I mentioned a few moments ago that I really did enjoy the rather extensive interview process. I got to know a lot about this place, and with each passing interview, with each passing opportunity, became increasingly confident that this is a place where I definitely would like to see myself be a part of the community. And so I'm very, very happy and grateful for this opportunity. So thank you so much for inviting me to join me, for inviting me to join you in this endeavor. So thanks.
Thank you, Tracy. And And finally, Dr. Damian Johnston, who is going to serve, unfortunately, only with us for a very short basis. Damian is filling in as our interim Director of Special Education and Pupil Services while we are on the search for a new director.
Thank you very much for having me. I was asked to come and step into this position, and in the 2 days that I have been here, I've had the opportunity to meet with all the building principals and get to know about the district from a different perspective. I am a parent, I do live in the district, and so getting the interesting opportunity to sit and talk about how to help craft the next few months as I'm here visiting with you all. I'm hoping that I can contribute. So I've been with the IU for the last 5 years, so they are loaning me out, and I'm very happy to be here among all of you. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Damian. So as you can see by how articulate and poised all of these 3 new administrators are, we did well in terms of our selection process. So welcome to each one of you, and we wish you well. I also want to mention that I had a lengthy meeting this morning with Representative Steve McCarter, who has been visiting all of his constituent districts to talk about the current budget impasse up at the state level and the implications of a budget impasse for districts such as ours. It is anticipated that unless the budget issues really can be resolved by the end of September, that if it goes much beyond that, it really is going to create some difficulties for all of the districts in the county. Currently, those of us who have some reserves are going to be able to make do over at least the beginning months and weeks of the fall, but after that it will start to get a little bit tricky. So we talked about that. We talked about what some of the prime issues are which are driving the impasse and where the areas of disagreement are, and they are actually on both sides of the House as well as the Senate. So it is a very complicated issue in terms of trying to come to consensus. But we are hopeful, and he is hopeful as well, that with the passage of time, there will be more and more urgency and pressure put to bear so that there can be a resolution. We also talked about a couple of other important items, such as the looming pension crisis and how that's impacting districts across the state and how it will only get worse. We talked about the lack and the dwindling of reimbursement for PlanCon, which I know all of the board members heard about when Gilbert did their presentation concerning the feasibility study and our plans to move forward in the future. So those are 2 pressing financial issues for us as a district as well, along with, again, the other districts in the Commonwealth. And then finally, the other thing that I spent a significant amount of time chatting with him about was the exceptional frustration that our families, our students, our teachers, and our administrators are feeling as the result of standardized testing. And I'm sure many of you are aware of the fact that we have all heard now from Pedro Rivera, who is our new education secretary in the state at PDE, as well as numerous other individuals who have spoken out about the fact that midway through the administration of this year's state assessments, the PSSA, the targets were changed. The tests were increased significantly in terms of their levels of difficulty. Teachers were unprepared in terms of their knowledge of how students were going to be assessed. And so it made an impossible situation where the preparation that students received, unfortunately, was not sufficient for the tests that they faced. Not only that, but after the tests were administered, the cut scores were changed. So that is the equivalent of having an archery target with the center bullseye, and then after you've already shot the arrow, they take the bullseye and they make it a lot smaller. And that's essentially what's happened with all of the PSSA results. And so as everyone predicted, after the tests were administered, when the scores came back, they were significantly lower than they had been in previous years, more significantly in math, where across the state scores dropped by an average of 32% from one year to the next. As far as our district is concerned, yes, of course, we did see a greater score drop in math than we did in ELA. I did a little bit of an analysis, and I looked at scores over time for a few of our grade levels, and it's very interesting to see, for example, our fifth graders who scored at, or rather our sixth graders who scored at 88% proficiency the previous year, 86% proficiency the previous year, 84% the previous year, and now are scoring at 70%. So as Pedro Rivera himself has said, and as PSBA has said, it's not the kids that have changed, it's the assessment, and that's unfair. So I want to make the board aware of this because my commitment to our administrators and to our teachers is not to hold them accountable for tests in the past that they were unable to really have any logistical control over in terms of student performance. We take the results very seriously. We hope we will get more information over the coming year so our students will be better prepared. But I want to continually remind the public as well as the board that standardized test scores are not the sole measure of student growth and learning. We use multiple measures here in the district, and I do want to assure everyone, despite whatever scores individual children will be coming home with when the scores are released, our children are doing well. And we are monitoring their progress, and because of the changes that have been well publicized across the state this year, we do not believe that anyone should be held accountable for the plummeting test scores that we will be seeing across the board with our PSSAs. So I just wanted to get that out there and let everyone know at least where I stand on the matter that has received a significant amount of publicity, and I thank you for letting me speak to that issue.
I'm just curious what Steve McCarter had to say about that.
As I'm sure you can guess, he's exceptionally frustrated as well. He believes that one of the things that we talked about is the fact that there has been so much scrutiny within the past year on standardized testing, and particularly its relationship and the new tie-in to teacher evaluation, that he is hopeful that when teacher evaluation reports are submitted in the fall, in October, that the state will look past any evaluations that are tied in directly to test scores. And that's what we are all hoping as well. We don't feel that would be fair to our teachers who are working exceptionally hard and through no fault of their own have seen this disastrous cut in what the scores are, but yet no less effort on their part or the part of the students in terms of their own preparation. Another area that we did discuss that is increasingly frustrating to him and which has not been a significant issue in our district but could become one, not only in our district but others, is the number of students who have opted out or whose families have requested that they be opted out of taking these tests has tripled in the state of Pennsylvania. Last year it was a little over 1,000. It's currently at about 3,200 across the state. Significantly more in many other states, but as you can see, the numbers are growing. So that's a significant concern to him as well. And as someone shared with me a few weeks ago, and my daughter certainly has experienced this as a current lawyer who sat for a bar exam, students after law school who sit for the bar exam sit for far fewer hours than our third graders do when they take our current system of standardized testing, which lasts over several days. So to sit for the bar exam in one of our typical states, it's a several-hour exam over 2 days. Our students have well over a week of testing. So by comparison, you can see how ludicrous that is for our children.
Can I just ask a question? So what's the recourse, I guess, for the districts who feel that, who have some strong feelings about these standardized tests, for whom it's very penalizing, it doesn't reflect well on them? Kind of what's our kickback? Can we say anything to the state?
Well, the answer, of course, is yes. I think by expressing our concern and our outrage over what seems to be a non-tenable system, I think it really does help. I was grateful for the meeting because I think it is important for us to be speaking with our local legislators to let them know our thoughts and concerns. And I will tell you that public outcry across the state not only has made somewhat of a difference, but of course what we are hearing is that there is a possibility down the road that the current graduation requirement of passing certain keystones may go away. And my sense is that if we continue to put pressure on the legislators, that they will hear us and hopefully understand that that's a legitimate concern that we have. Right now, many districts are expending significant dollars and resources in terms of teacher time and so forth in remediation and intervention efforts that could really be better directed elsewhere. So I think speaking up, writing letters, there are many boards that have issued resolutions and so forth, and I think the more public those measures take, the better it will be for all of us.
I was going to ask that, is it to, as a board, could we draft a resolution and, express our point of view and how it reflects our township?
Absolutely, and
Okay.
the good news is because other districts have done it before us, all we need to do is get a copy of some, and then you can figure out which one you'd like to use.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Hacker, this may seem like a strange question, but I thought about it in light of what you said about the number of parents that are having their children opt out of taking the PSSAs. Have you heard anything from any districts about the whole district deciding to opt out of doing the testing as, I hate to say, like a sit-in, like basically saying until you make these changes and fix whatever's going on with these testing, we're not going to unfairly punish our teachers or our students?
Well, we have not, and I think the reason for that is because no district wants to lose its dollars, its funding. And so that's a pretty powerful reason for a district rather, not to do that. Right now, the decision-making authority rests in the hands of the parents. And in the state of Pennsylvania, there really is only one legal reason for opting out of testing. So parents can't say it's because the test is too long and I don't like the test and my child is stressed out. They only can use one other real legitimate reason for opting out of the testing. And I think some parents simply are resigned to the testing. Some parents really do want to see how are their children doing. But I would caution those who are looking at scores for this year, particularly if they have a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grader who has taken the test in the past. The word is from all levels of the state, we cannot compare last year's scores to this year's scores. So I would urge parents not to want to be able to do that.
Dr. Hacker, can we schedule and synchronize the Academic Affairs Committee meeting to be after the results are released to the community?
I don't see why not.
Just one more thing about it. What's the consequence, or just in general, to the district if there's a large proportion of students who opt out of testing? Because my understanding is that it could potentially really skew our participation results, which could then affect our funding also, and backfire.
Where it really impacts school districts is through the school performance profile scores, and one of the measures that is used to determine the school and the school district's SPP score is participation rate. So you are absolutely correct. It could, in fact, impact the SPP score. What we are hearing is that there is possibility going to be a suspension of that tie-in for this year, but I have not received anything definitive about that yet.
Do we know for next year what the implications will be? Will it be going back to what it was, or will it be staying at this level? Do we have any indication?
Yes, we do, and it appears that the move to not only align the assessments with core standards and to ratchet up, so to speak, the rigor of the tests is going to remain. What is unclear is what kind of information we will get about how the standards are translated into assessment questions so that we know what the expectations are and can better teach to them. As the board is aware, several years ago, we actually adopted a new math textbook curriculum, Everyday Math. And a couple of years ago, under Mrs. Rohrbach, we actually got a new standards-aligned version of Everyday Math, which has always been touted as a reform curricula that was tied to standards. And it is mind-boggling that even that curriculum, which has received such glowing reviews and has produced wonderful math results in districts across the country, apparently now is not sufficient either in terms of the rigor of the new standards. So it remains to be seen, well, then what are the expectations, and then what are the resources that should be used in order to help students meet those expectations.
I suggest maybe as part of the next Academic Affairs Committee meeting, you could discuss resolutions. Are we ready for business? Number 1, personnel attachment, recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment: certificated personnel, support personnel, extra pay for extra responsibilities, conference workshop attendance. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments? Aye. Number 2, school board member, recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the motion to appoint John Chapman to the Board of School Directors to the position left vacant by the resignation of Michelle Jervis-Schultz. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments? Aye. Congratulations. Okay, now we are going to have the swearing in of new board member John Chapman by Judge Elizabeth McHugh.
Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth. And I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Judge McHugh, for being here with us this evening and helping us seat our new board member. We appreciate it very much. Judge McGill was on vacation, so we were lucky and fortunate enough to be able to have Judge McHugh with us. John, once again, congratulations. We're very happy to have you join us.
Okay, I'd like to welcome John Chapman to the board. and we're going to get them right to work. So, number 3, and I don't know how to say it, Rico USA, Inc., recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the proposal from Rico USA, Inc. for supplies, lease, and maintenance of copiers district-wide. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
I would just like to let the board know that this is coming at a savings of approximately $1,000 a month.
Mr. King? Aye. Number 4, MCIU Staffing Services Agreement. Special Education Director, recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the temporary staffing services agreement with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit for Special Education Director support beginning August 17, 2015 until a date to be determined at a per diem rate of $500 per day. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
Aye.
Aye. Number 5, MCIU VHS Consortium Participation. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the contract for MCIU Virtual High School Consortium participation between the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit and Springfield Township School District for the period of August 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2016 for the annual membership fee of $5,400. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
Aye.
Aye. Number 6, Overbrook School for the Blind, recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the contract for the Overbrook School for the Blind and the Springfield Township School District for a one-on-one aid for the 2015-2016 school year. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments? Mr. King?
Aye.
Aye. Number 7, E-Plus Group Lease Quotation. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the fair market value lease quotation number 217-94655 for 300 HP CTO laptops between the E-Plus Group, Inc. and Springfield Township School District for 3 years with an annual payments of $84,746.15 pending solicitor approval of the master lease agreement. Is there a motion? Second? Any questions or comments?
I would add that this is also subject to a review of the applicable schedules for both these motions, actually.
The laptops, are these for staff or for students?
Both.
Both.
Yes. These are replacement laptops for our existing ones.
Okay.
We're coming off lease.
Okay.
So this is for renewal of some. And then the next lease includes also the Chromebooks. So we swapped out a number of computers for Chromebooks.
Okay. So where does that leave us in terms of computers, like which grades are using Chromebooks, which grades are using laptops?
Grades 4 through 12, all students will now have their own individual Chromebook.
Okay, so, okay. And then the laptops are not for individual student use?
No,
Or-
no, just the
Okay.
Chromebooks in grades 4 to 12 at this point. So it's a significant expansion of what we had before.
Right.
But the good news is it comes at a savings of $34,000 a year less than what we were paying in our last 3-year lease term. So over the term of the lease, it will save us over $100,000, and yet more students will have individual devices.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy, I had a question. Some people in the community had asked me, the Chromebooks, well, they won't be taken home, will they?
At this point, we're only talking about the possibility at the high school, but we have not yet made any decisions, nor have we established any procedures for that.
So just to follow up, the 300 laptops that are going to, they're going to be dispersed through different classrooms? Or are they for libraries? What will the laptops be used for?
I'm going to ask Mr. Oliver to speak to that because he can speak more specifically about where they're intended.
Primarily, the 300 laptops are used in areas where the Chromebooks won't suffice. So some specific software in math and science, some CD software that's actually run at the elementary and kindergarten levels. They're to support all of those areas where the Chromebook won't have software installed on it. So we had over 1,200 devices, which were laptops previously. With the one-to-one, the 300 is enough to support the labs in different areas with specific software. You're welcome.
Aye.
Aye. Number 8, E-Plus Group Buyout Lease. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the dollar buyout lease quotation number 217-98149 for 1,400 HP Chromebooks between E-Plus Group, Inc. and Springfield Township School District for 3 years with an annual payment of $147,337.38, pending solicitor approval of the master lease agreement and $145,337.30. Thank you. Is there a motion? Any questions or comments?
Sorry, I have another question. Sort of a follow-up to what Kat said, because this agreement says that risk of loss is, we totally bear the risk of loss for these Chromebooks and have to insure them. So will a decision be made about, whether or not students are allowed to bring the Chromebooks home with them affect the liability insurance that we would need?
Yes, we will. Well, it wouldn't affect what we have to get. It would affect whether or not we want to make the students responsible for purchasing insurance for the care and maintenance of the Chromebooks while in their care at home.
Okay, so we are considering that if we allow the students to take them home, to require them to purchase them.
We're considering it, but we have not yet made a decision about that.
Aye.
Aye. Number 9, Apex Mechanical, Inc. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves Apex Mechanical, Inc. to perform all HVAC work associated with the Administration Building HVAC replacement project in the base bid amount of $249,800 plus alternates H-1 for $4,000 and H-2 for $5,000, for a total of $258,800. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
Aye.
Number 10, Cook Services Company, Inc., recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves Cook Services Company, Inc. to perform all electrical work associated with the Administration Building HVAC replacement project in the base bid amount of $24,900 plus alternate H2 for $3,200 for a total of $28,100. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
Aye.
Aye. Number 11, Gilbert Architects, Inc., recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves Gilbert Architects, Inc. to perform additional services associated with the land development approval process that was not part of the original scope of work in the amount of $7,385. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
Aye.
Aye. I don't believe there were any public comments on non-agenda items. Future meeting dates. Interim board meeting, Tuesday, September 1st, 2015, 7 p.m. in the Freeze Memorial Lobby. School board meeting, Wednesday, September 16th, 2015, 7 p.m. Freeze Memorial Lobby. And we will be having a property committee meeting, but we're not sure.
I just wanted to bring up one other thing that I realized was left off the report. We did have Service Master out for the property committee as well, and I did the tour of everything that they're doing now to ensure that our school buildings are clean. And one thing that they showed me now that they have is they actually have a 3-point inspection process. It's up. So like on the outside of all the classrooms and the important rooms, they have a sheet of paper that basically has the checklist that the cleaner has to go through. But then it's the responsibility for the supervisor to come through. And if there's anything that they disagree with on the cleaner, there's another note that goes up and says, this is a spot that I discovered that, that they thought they had cleaned, wasn't to their satisfaction, that they have to hit it again on another clean through, or stating that it's a high-use room or something like that, so they can stay on top of everything, which I thought was really good on their part. And they did say that they plan on trying to do another walkthrough for anybody else on the board in the near future once this, see what's been going on with it.
Yeah, I just want to thank Craig Thorne, of course, for offering that out to the members of the property committee, and thank James again for taking advantage of the opportunity to give up some more of his time on Monday morning after the property committee meeting to do that. Thank you, James.
Thank you. All right, everyone.